Good morning. Hope you are doing well. So today we will discuss about the advanced topics in business strategy. As we have seen previously that when a company or a firm has a successful or has a positive economic profit, that will encourage other firms to enter the market. Of course, if other firms enter the market, then those competitors will take a part of these, let's say, monopoly firms' profit, and therefore the monopoly profit of that firm will reduce. So in order to prevent those competitors from entering this particular market, a manager would apply some strategies to prevent them or to reduce the numbers of those competitors who want to enter the market. So today we are going to discuss about some of these strategies which are limit pricing to prevent entry, predatory pricing to lessen competition, rising rival cost to lessen the competition, price discrimination as a strategic tools, and changing the timing of decision in order or the order of moves, and penetration pricing to overcome network effect. So the first we'll discuss about what is the motivation for limit pricing. As I say, the successful business often lead to the entry of a new competitor into the market, and that adversely affect the profit of existing firms. So first, with that treat, a manager may consider the limit pricing, which is a strategy where an incumbent maintain or a monopoly firm maintain a price below the monopoly level in order to prevent the entry. So we have seen this graph, where we consider a monopoly firm. The monopoly firm will maximize the profit when the marginal revenue equal to the marginal cost, here at QM or Q monopoly, and will charge PM or price monopoly, which is greater than the marginal cost and also greater than the average total cost, and therefore it makes this profit. So that positive economic profit will motivate other firms to enter the market in order to get some of that profit. So in that scenario, so we consider a situation in which a monopolist firm control the entire market. So the demand curve for the monopolist is DM, this in this figure, and the monopoly profit are maximized at the price PM and quantity QM, and therefore it has a profit by M. Unfortunately for this incumbent or monopoly, if a potential entrant were to learn about this profit opportunity and possesses the technological know-how to produce the product at the same time or at the same cost, so the profit enjoyed by the monopolist would be eroded if the potential entrant would profitably enter the market. The entry would move the industry from monopoly to duopoly and reduce the monopoly's profit. Over time, if additional firms enter the market, the profit also would be further eroded. So here, the monopolist would use maybe a strategy of limiting limit pricing. So to limit price, the incumbent or the monopoly produce instead of QM will produce at QL, which exceed the monopoly output, and charges price PL instead of PM. that is lower than the monopoly price. This situation is shown in this graph. If the potential entrant believes the incumbent will continue producing at QL, then if it enters the market, then the residual demand for the entrant product is simply this, which is the DM minus the amount of QL that it produces. So this difference, DM minus QL, we call it as the entrant residual demand curve. The entrant residual demand curve start output at price PL, where the monopoly reduced the price. This is why, because DM minus QL will have zero price for this, but not for the monopoly. Or for each price below PL, the horizontal distance between the entrant residual demand curve and the monopoly's demand curve is QL, and this is at each price. So since the entrant residual demand curve lies below the average cost curve, the entry is not profitable. So note that the entrant loses money if enters and produces more output or less output than Q. This will have P, which is less than the AC. Here, it produces here more than Q. But entering and producing exactly at Q unit, total market output increased to Q for the new entrant plus QL for the monopoly. This pushes the price down to the point P equal to AC, or average cost, for the entrant, of course. So its economic profit here, it becomes zero at this price. Thus, the entrant cannot earn positive profit by entering the market. Furthermore, if entry involves any extra cost whatever, the entrant will have a strict incentive to stay out of this market. Thus, limit pricing prevents entry, and the incumbent or the monopoly earns a higher profit than those in the presence of entry. So when limit pricing may fail. So under limit pricing, the entrant was assumed to have a complete information about the incumbent demand and cost, but the strategy did not hide information about profitability of the incumbent business. So the low price charged by the incumbent did not prevent entry. The entrant stayed out because it believes the incumbent would produce at least QL if entered. So a revised strategy is to set a monopoly price PM and produce at the monopoly output QM, which is here, and threaten to extend the output to QL if entry occurs. Means that the monopoly will not reduce the price and increase the output, keep producing at PM and QM, but it will threaten to decrease the price and increase the quantity if another competitor entered the market. So this, however, is not a credible threat, so a rational entrant would find it still profitable to enter if incumbent set price PL. So what is the effect of limit pricing? For limit pricing to effectively prevent entry by rational competitors, we have this condition: the pre-entry price must be linked to the post-entry profit of a potential entrant. So how we do that? We have some strategies. The first, commitment mechanism. We have learning curve effect. We have incomplete information. And we have reputation effort. So commitment mechanism. To understand this, suppose that the monopolist have the first move. So the monopolist either going to have the strategy to commit to QL or don't commit. If the monopolist commit to QL, then the new entrant has to decide to enter or no. If enters, then the monopolist will earn only 50 instead of 100 if does not commit, and the new entrant will lose 10. But if don't enter, since the monopolist commit to produce at QL, therefore its profit pie will reduce from 100 to 70 and the new entrant will earn 0. But if the monopolist don't commit to produce QL, therefore the new entrant is going to decide. If it did not enter, then the monopolist will earn 100 profit, which is the monopoly profit, and the new entrant will earn 0. But since this will give an incentive for the new entrant to enter, therefore if the monopolist did not commit to produce at QL, therefore the new entrant will enter, and therefore both companies, monopoly and new entrant, earn 40-40. So therefore, in order to for the monopolistic company or the incumbent to have the higher profit, it should commit to produce at QL, therefore forcing the new entrant to don't enter, and therefore the profit will be 70 for the monopoly and 0 for the new entrant. 70 is less than 100 for the monopoly, but also it is greater if from 40 if the monopoly don't commit to produce at QL. Now we go for the learning curve effect. The learning curve effect is a cost of producing a good or a service depends on the firm level of experience. Firms with a greater historical level of output have more experience and can produce more efficiently than firms with a little or no past experience in producing goods. So these effects are known as learning curve effect. Notice that learning curve effect provides a link between the pre-entry price and a post-entry profit, and therefore may permit an incumbent to use the limit pricing to block entry. So remember, when you have this learning curve effect, when you are more experienced, always your marginal cost or cost of producing of output will decrease when you produce more. So when you have a lower marginal cost or average cost, therefore it will make it very difficult for new entrant to enter because they don't have the experience, or maybe they don't have also the technology in order to produce at a lower cost. Therefore you prevent them from entering or blocking them from entry. Another one is incomplete information. So here the assumption that the entrant and incumbent enjoy a complete information is clearly not applicable in all situations. It is usually costly for entrepreneurs and other potential entrants to find profitable business opportunities. Why? To the extent that pre-entry prices or profit are a signal that lowers potential entry costs of identifying profitable opportunities. A link between the price and post-entry profit may be forged. To understand this, imagine that you are living in a small town and you have set up a business there. Maybe you are a lawyer or an attorney, and you are a monopolistic in that local market. So in the absence of entry, you may able to earn a higher salary or a higher profit per year. So if you have an impressive collection of sport car and regularly travel, to in a luxury, places, then this is of information that you may give to others and to come and have a business in your market or to enter your market. So if you hide this information, and therefore those people or those new attorneys or new lawyers, they may not find it profitable because they don't know exactly how much you are having. For example, you drive a normal car, you don't go frequently or you don't show frequently that you are going to a luxury holidays. Therefore, limit pricing may help hide this information about your profit from a potential entrant, and this may delay or in rare cases completely eliminate entry depending on how costly it is for potential entrant to obtain information from other sources. So once the other potential entrant obtain this real information or complete information about your cost and about your profit, they may be now or they may have an incentive to enter the market, and you may lose your monopoly power. Another one is a reputation effect. We have learned that incentives in one shot game are different than in repeated games. In games that are identically repeated, trigger strategies link the past behavior of players to future payoff. In the context of entries such as reputation effect can provide a link between a pre-entry price charge in the market and a post-profit. So permitting entry today is likely to encourage entry in the future period by other potential entrants. Therefore, depending on the relative cost and benefit of future entry, it may pay for a firm to invest in a reputation for being tough on entrant in order to deter future entry by other firms. To the extent that charging a low price today to punish an entrant discourage entry by other firms such as strategy may increase long-run profit. Now we go for the dynamic consideration. So even if the incumbent can forge a link between the pre-entry price and post-entry profit to prevent entry, it may also earn a higher profit by allowing entry to occur in first place. To see this, record that when the interest rate I and pi m represent the current profit of a monopolist earned by charging pm, the present value of current and future profit if the firm maintains the monopoly is pi m equal pi m plus pi m divided by 1 plus I plus pi m divided by 1 plus I square and so forth. But suppose that upon observing the current profit price pm, a new entrant decide to enter the market. So entry foster competition in the product during the second and the following period, and this produce the incumbent's profit from monopoly level PM to another duopoly level pi d. While different oligopoly setting will lead to a different duopoly profit, in all cases the duopoly profit are less than those enjoyed under the monopoly. Therefore, pi d in duopoly is less than pi m in monopoly. If the entry occurs, the present value of the incumbent's current and future profit falls to pi md equal to pi m at first, then after plus pi d duopoly divided by 1 plus I plus pi d divided by 1 plus I square and so forth. And this will equal to pi m plus pi d divided by I. So in a particular, so the term pi d divided by I reflect the present value of the perpetuity of duopoly profit. It is clear that pi md is less than pi m. Under the limit pricing strategy, the incumbent earns profit of pi l during each period, where pi l is less than pi m. Thus, under limit pricing, the present value of the firm profit is pi l equal for each period pi L plus pi L divided by 1 plus interest rate plus pi L divided by 1 interest rate square, and this is equal to 1 plus I divided by I times pi L. So a necessary condition for limit pricing to be an optional strategy is for the present value of the profit and the limit pricing to exceed those under entry. Means pi L must be greater than pi MD. Rearranging the previous equation of pi L and pi MD, we will have this. Limit pricing profitable when pi L minus pi D divided by I is greater than pi M minus pi L. So the left side of this inequality represents the present value of the benefit of limit pricing, and the right side represents the upfront cost of limit pricing. Notice that necessary condition for profitable limit pricing is for the pre-period profit and the limit pricing PL to exceed the pre-period duopoly profit PD or pi D. However, this alone is not enough to warrant limit pricing. In addition, the present value of this benefit must exceed the upfront cost of generating the profit stream. In this case, the upfront cost is the profit foregone by limit pricing in the first period rather than charging the monopoly price. Based on this analysis, it is clear that limit pricing is more attractive in situation where, first, the interest rate is low. Second, profit under the limit price are close to the monopoly price. And the third, the duopoly profit are significantly lower than the profit under the limit price. So absent of this condition, it will not be in a firm best interest to fight entry by limit pricing. When a firm faces entry but opt against limit pricing, its price will gradually decline over time as more and more firms enter the market. Now let's go for this demand consideration in action. Suppose a baker enterprise operates in a mid-sized company that specializes in the production of a unique type of memory chips. It is currently the only firm in the market, and it earns $10 or $10 million per year by charging the monopoly price of $115 per chip. Baker is concerned that a new firm may soon attempt to clone its product. If successful, this would reduce Baker's profit to $4 million per year. Estimates indicate that if Baker increased its output to 280,000 units, which would lower its price to only 100 per chips instead of 115, the entrant will stay out of the market and Baker will earn profit of $8 or $8 million per year for the finite future. So the question, what must Baker do to credibly deter entry by limit pricing? And does it make sense for Baker to limit price if the interest rate is 10%? So to answer this, Baker must tie its hand to prevent itself from cutting out below 280 units if entry occurs. And this commitment must be observable to potential entrants before they make the decision to enter or not. But if, let's say, does it make sense for Baker to limit price if interest rate is 10%? So we are going to use this formula and see if this pi L minus pi D divided by I is greater than pi M minus pi L. So pi L is 8, then we have pi D is 4, interest rate 0.1, so 8 minus 4 divided by 0.1, when we can see if it is greater than 10 minus 8. Obviously, this hold. 8 minus 4 is 4 divided by 0.1 is 40, which is greater than 2. So limit pricing in this case is profitable. Now we have another strategy, which is predatory pricing. Why is it? Predatory pricing is a strategy where a firm temporarily prices below its marginal cost to drive existing competitors out of the market. This involves trade-off between a current and a future profit, so it is profitable only when the present value of the higher future profit offsets the losses required to drive rival out of the market. So let's see this predatory pricing in action. Again, Baker Enterprises operate a mid-sized company that specializes in the production of a unique type of memory chip. If Baker were a monopolist, it could earn 10 million per year for an indefinite period of time by charging the monopoly price of 115 per chip. While Baker could have prevented the entry of a potential rivals by limiting pricing, it opted against doing so. And it is now in a duopoly situation, earning an annual profit of 4 million per year. So if Baker dropped its price to 68 per chips and hosted there for 1 year, it will be able to drive the other firm out of the market and retain its monopoly position indefinitely. Over the year in which it engages in predatory pricing, however, Baker will lose 60 million. Ignoring legal consideration, is predatory pricing a profitable strategy? Assume the interest rate is 10% and, for simplicity, that any current period profit or losses occur immediately. So to answer that, we have this formula. If Baker does not engage in predatory pricing, the current value of its earning 4 plus 4 divided by 1 plus 0.1 plus 4 divided by 1 plus 0.1 square, and this plus equal to 1 plus 0.1 divided by 1 times 4, and we have 44 million. But if Baker uses predatory pricing, the present value of its current and future profit will be pi d equal minus 60, because at first we say it lose 60, then gain 10 for each period. So plus 10 divided by 1 plus 0.1 plus 10 divided by 1 plus 0.1 square, and equal to minus 60 plus 10 divided by 0.1 and equal to 40. You can see the profit are less or lower under the predatory pricing. So what are rising rival costs? Rising rival cost is a strategy in which a firm gain advantage over competitors by increasing their cost. Strategies involving marginal cost, strategies involving the fixed cost, and strategies for vertically integrated firm. Let's say the first one. We assume that this is a monopoly firm, this is firm 1. It has reaction 1, and this firm 2, it has reaction 2, and this here, the profit pi 1 for firm 1, where the interaction happened. If firm 1 could increase the cost of firm 2 or the marginal cost of firm 2, therefore the reaction of firm 2 will shift from R2 to R2 star. And in this case, we will have the new reaction here for firm 2 interact with reaction of firm 1 here, and therefore pi 1 of firm 1 will shift from pi 1a to pi 1b, and the new equilibrium will happen at pb. So you can see the profit of firm 1, pi 1b, is now more toward the monopoly profit. And the profit of the firm 2 here, supposed to be like that, is far from the monopoly profit, supposed to be here or here. So it's become further. So firm 1 or firm A, the one that increased the cost for the second firm B, increased its profit, while the second firm where its marginal cost increased, decrease the profit. Then again, another one by rising rival cost or the fixed cost. So we assume that firm I is a monopoly and firm E is an entrant. And we assume that firm A has a power to influence, let's say, a government agency or a particular department to have a license in order to do that type of business. For example, maybe car renting. In order for another company to enter the market for car renting, it must have to pay a license of $90. So the first move, if the firm does not impose that license fee or does not influence the agency or the department to impose the license fee, then firm E would enter and therefore earn 70 profit for each firm I and E. If firm E does not enter 100%, firm I will have the monopoly profit 200 and firm E will have 0. But this will not happen because in this case firm E will enter the market and gain 70 and left 70 for the other. But if firm I succeeded in imposing the license, then firm E need either to enter or not to enter. If to enter, both firms will lose minus 20. If doesn't enter, firm E does not enter, then it will have 0 profit of course, but firm I, the profit will reduce from 200 minus 90 and equal 110. So you can see here, by using this rising rival cost or fixed cost, then the incumbent firm will maintain the monopoly, but of course it will reduce its profit. So also rising rival costs by vertically integrated firms. Vertically integrated firms with a market power in the upstream or input market may be able to exploit this power to rise firms' costs in the downstream market. That could happen in a vertical foreclosure strategy wherein a vertically integrated firm charges downstream rivals a prohibitive price for an essential input, thus forcing a rival to use more costly substitute or go out of the business. Or the price cost squeeze tactic used by a vertically integrated firm to squeeze the margin of its competitors. So what is the vertical foreclosure? An extreme form of rising rival cost called vertical closure occurs when a firm that controls the essential upstream input competes against other firms in the downstream market. By refusing to sell other downstream firms the needed input, it forces them to seek out less efficient substitute. Therefore, this increases their cost of production. When no substitutes are available, the rivals are completely driven out of the downstream market because they are enabled to acquire the essential input. So you can block them from the entry. And second, the price cost squeeze. In specialized circumstances, a vertically integrated firm may potentially benefit from rising rival costs through price cost squeeze. So here, the vertically integrated price rises rival costs on the input side while holding constant. So the price charged for the final product. This squeezes the margin of downstream competitors. So the ultimate effect of severe price cost squeeze is similar to that under predatory pricing. It drives competitors out of the market. Since this tactic requires the vertically integrated firm to charge prices that do not maximize current profit, in the upstream and downstream market, the firm trade off a lower short-term profit for the potential of a higher future profit once rival exit the downstream market. So, therefore, depending on the magnitude of this trade-off and the level of interest rate, a price-cost squeeze may be profitable. And also another one is price discrimination. We have discussed about that in previous topic, or the practice of charging a different price to different consumers enhances the profitability of predatory pricing, limit pricing, and rising rival cost. So price discrimination means firm only to have a lower prices to targeted consumers group and mitigate the negative aspect of limit pricing and predatory pricing. Another one is a first mover advantage. A first mover advantage permits a firm to earn a higher payoff by committing to a decision before its rival get a chance to commit to their decision. So changing the timing of a game, move from a simultaneous move to a sequential move game can yield one player a first move advantage. Let's see this here. For example, we have this simultaneous move production game where firm A and firm B. Firm A lower output or high output, firm B is also. So we can see what is the dominant strategy here for firm A. Dominant strategy from A here is to low output, because whatever the reaction or the strategy of firm B is, when producing low, giving the highest output. Correct. Then the Nash equilibrium happen at 10:15. Why? Since firm B knows that low output is the dominant strategy from firm A, therefore knows that firm A will choose this strategy, therefore firm B will choose high output, and therefore firm A will earn only 10 and firm B will earn 15. So this is Nash equilibrium. But let's say what happened if firm A is the first mover. Now, if firm A first mover, if produce low output, firm B will produce low output, and therefore, as we say, he gain 10, firm B, and firm A gain only 30, which is this. But, of course, firm B will not lower the output, because if do so, it will gain less when higher the output. So firm B what do? It will use the strategy of higher output, and therefore firm B will gain 15 and firm A gain only 10. So if firm A lower the output, then firm B will higher the output or increase the output, and therefore it will be, this is the Nash equilibrium. But since firm A have the option of first mover, then instead to lower the price, firm A what we do will instead of lower the output, it will higher the output. Therefore, when the output is higher, now firm B has to choose either to lower or higher. If you choose to low output, it will earn 5 and A will earn 20. But if it chooses to high output, then it will earn only 2 and firm A will earn only 1. So from the perspective of firm B, 5 is greater than 2. Therefore, firm B will choose to low the output rather than to high output. So the first move will allow firm A to have a higher profit, which is 20, rather than 10 in the first simultaneous move production. So here we can say now a unique subgame perfect equilibrium is when firm A produce high output and firm B produce low output if firm A produce high output. and firm B produce high output if firm A produce low output. So first mover advantage permit firm A to earn 20 instead of 10, as we just now explained. Now, a second mover advantage. Being first is not always advantageous. Sometimes second mover advantage are often or even greater. For example, being a second to introduce a new product can yield a higher payoff than being first, if it permits the second mover to free ride on investment made by the first mover. This permits the second mover to produce at a lower cost than the firms that move first. In addition, a second mover may gain an advantage because it can learn from the first mover mistakes. In this case, the second mover may be able to produce a better product at a lower cost than the firm that moved first. Now we go for another option, which is networking or penetration pricing to overcome networking effect. What is a network? A network consists of a link that connects different points called nodes in a geographic or economic space. One-way networks in which services flow in only one direction. For example, residential water service is a commonly used example for a one-way network. Water typically flows one way from the local water company to homes. So note here, one-way network provider often enjoys economies of scale in creating a network that supplement the network service of a well-established incumbent. The distinguishing feature of a one-way network is that its value to each user does not directly depend on how many other people use the new network. We have two-way network, for example, a consumer who own a phone, maybe a star network, as we will see later in a graph. So we have this. You can see in this network, this is the hub or the service provider. So consumer 1 can call 2, can call 7, can call 6, can call 5, can call 4. 2 also can call 3, can call 1. Direct network externalities. So two-way network that links user exhibit a positive externalities called direct network externalities. So this direct value enjoyed by the user of a network because others also use the network. A telephone network is an example. With only one user is worthless. He cannot call himself. But if a telephone network that connects two users is more valuable but worthless to each consumer than a network that connects 3 users and so on. If you have 100 users, it's better. If you have 1000 users, it's better. So what is the principle or direct network externalities? So a two-way network linking n users, let's say 100, provide n times n minus 1 potential connection services. If one new user joins the network, all the existing users directly benefit because the new user adds 2n, because each one can call, let's say 1 add, right? So 2 can call 1, 1 can call 2, so 2. So we have also indirect network externalities. An indirect network externality is the indirect value enjoyed by the user of a network because of complementarities between the size of the network and the availability of complementary product or services. The growing use of the internet has led to many complementary product and services, such as teleconferencing software. Due to the sizable fixed cost required to develop such software, a large number of internet users are needed to justify the associated software development cost. More and more software are developed for a use on the internet. The associated network complementarities make the internet even more valuable to each user. So here you can see the indirect network externalities, makes this or associated with network complementarities, then make the internet more worthy and more valuable to each one of us. So negative also network externality exists when additional user to the network decreases the value per user of the service. For example, here congestion and bottlenecks. Let's give an example. As the size of network grows, it may eventually reach a point where the existing infrastructure cannot handle additional users. Beyond this point, additional users create congestion. Telephone, sometimes you go in the area, there's a lot of people, maybe in Kuala Lumpur, in Penang, then your internet speed is lower because so many people using it and there is a congestion. This makes it harder for users to make network connections, and the value per use for the service provided by the network declines. If you are paying 100 ringgit, you're not getting the service of 100 ringgit. Maybe you are getting a service of only 2 ringgit. Examples of bottlenecks include the traffic jam on a highway, delays at airport, drop calls on telecommunication network, also slow server response on the internet, and power outage on local electricity network. These are an example of bottlenecks. So another strategy is a first mover advantage due consumer lock-in. So we have the presence of the network externalities often make it difficult for a new network to replace or to compete with the existing network, even a technologically superior network. Why? This is because existing network likely have an installed user base and complementary service compared to a new network. So a network externalities can create consumer lock-in, a scenario in which consumers are stuck in a situation equilibrium where they are using an inferior network. Let's see this in this graph. Consider a simple two-way network shown in this graph, providing connection services between user C1 and C2. Imagine that this network is owned by the monopolist identified as the hub H1, and that each user values this network service at $10 per month. Now, suppose another firm decides to enter the market to compete against the existing monopoly network. Therefore, creating such a network will likely involve substantial fixed cost. Let us suppose that the new firm has a superior technology such that the full capacity each user value the new network of 20 per month. Once the network is built, the situation looks like in this B, where H1 and H2 represent the duopoly hubs. In this figure, the two networks are exclusive. This means that both consumers must subscribe to the same network for the services of that network to be useful. You cannot C1 subscribe H1 and C2 subscribe H2. They cannot make the connection. If this happen, user 1 go to H1, user 2 go to H2, then both of them they get 0, 0. If user 1 get to H2, user 2 go to H1, also they get 0, 0 of benefit. Now the question, will the new entrant be able to enter the market with its superior technology? So, in the figure we'll see that the new entrant, or we see the players in this game, are users who must choose a network provider. Both users are initially using a network provider H1 thanks to its first mover advantage. In initial situation, each user receives $10 in value each month from the network. This here, because both of them they're using this. Notice that when the new network becomes available, neither user has unilateral incentive to change the network providers. Why? Given the choice of the other users, neither user has an incentive to change to H2, even though if both consumers switch simultaneously, each would be better off. This is classic coordination problem we have seen in previous topic. The network externalities create consumer lock-in. The consumers are stuck in a situation or equilibrium where they are using inferior network. So, how to avoid that? So now we use penetration pricing to change the game. Consumer lock-in resulting from an existing network may be easily resolved by communication between the two users. However, communication is not feasible with the potentially hundreds of millions of users because of the cost or transaction cost. What hope does a firm have in establishing its new network? That means firm H2, in order to get both of them subscribed here. So one strategy we call penetration pricing involves charging a low price initially to penetrate a market and gain a critical mass of consumers, useful when a strong new network effect are present. So let's see this here. To see how a penetration pricing strategy can help firm to attract the critical mass of users on its network, notice that the value of users having access to both networks is at least as large as the value of using either network individually. Consequently, if the new network provider actually pays users a small amount of only $1 to try out its service, then during this trial period, the game-facing consumer would change from table 13.2 to table 13.3. In this case, each consumer has an incentive to try the new network since the choice H1 and H2 is a dominant strategy for each user. So this is the first. Second, now, if consumer or user 1 choose H1 and user 2 choose H1 and H2, both of them, because that provide only $1, right? So consumer 1 get 10, consumer 2 get 11. If both of them they use H1 and H2, they will get 21. Once consumers try the two networks, they will soon realize that H2 is better and eventually keep using H1. Once a critical mass of users begins using H2, the owner of network H2 can eliminate the only $1 payment, since each consumer now receives 20 worth in benefit from H2 compared to only 10 in consumer use H1. In this manner, the new entrant can use penetration pricing to overcome the incumbent first mover advantage that stems from these network externalities. Looking again at this table 13.2, penetration pricing is exactly the tool needed to move consumer from the equilibrium in the top left cell to the bottom right cell, from here to here. As a conclusion, a number of strategies may enhance profit by changing the nature of timing of the game. We have limit pricing, predatory pricing, rising rival costs, exercising first or second mover advantages, penetration pricing. These strategies can be risky though, and care must be taken when using any of the above strategies. Here we come to the end of today's topic, and this will be the last topic. I hope that you really enjoyed managerial economics course, and you can practice this in your daily life or in your managerial activities or in your company. I see you in another video. Thank you very much and goodbye.